John O'Connor, my goodness, I'm so happy to see you here today. And distant though we are, it feels like you're in my living room. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Lara. It's great to be here. It really is.
You were here 2 years ago and gave the most
Right.
memorable, wonderful recital to a delighted Bankhead Theater audience. I will always remember that evening and our meeting spontaneously afterwards, which led to what we know will eventually be your performance with our Livermore-Amador Symphony here. And the
Which I'm looking forward
Mediterranean
to very
climate, we have good golf courses and sunshine and
Yes,
relatively warm temperatures. So maybe we can, lure you out here on a
you're saying all
regular
the right for
basis.
an Irish person. With the terrible weather, I mean, Ireland is one of the best places in the world to live, providing you can get away from it every so often for better weather. I love going back to Dublin, and I'm a fierce Dubliner. I really adore the place, but
You're you're a
I love
national
the weather.
treasure. You're a national treasure in your country. You've
I don't know.
and
Don't
and
don't ask my wife that. Or my kids.
well, but when I think about your career, you've performed with the great orchestras of the world, in the great concert halls of the world, and your a teaching your teaching legacy extends globally now as well. I mean, I know you have your competition in Dublin,
Yeah.
and you teach in
I,
Canada and in the United States. And
yes,
tell
I'm
me
at a
more.
university just outside Washington, D.C. I'm also teach at the Glenn School of the Royal Conservative Music in Toronto. I'm also visiting professor at the Showa University of Music in Japan, and I'm visiting guest professor at um, the Conservatoire of Music in Dublin, which I think is very funny. I'm visiting professor in my hometown, but however, anyway. Uh, but yeah, no, I love teaching. I've always loved teaching. And I remember when I was like about 10 years out of school, and I'm a guy I hadn't seen since we were in high school together. And he said, "What are you doing?" And I hadn't started playing around the world all that much at that stage. And I said, "Well, I teach piano." And he looked at me and said, "Oh, you poor thing." And to his idea, he'd obviously taken piano with some harridan who rapped him over the knuckles with a pencil every time he played a wrong note, and so he gave up promptly and thought music teaching was dreadful. But I actually adore music teaching, and I love passing on my love of music to every student I have, and to opening doors to this music, to this world, so that they can enjoy so much.
Do you find that I'm sure you over many years in your career this has probably evolved and changed, but do you find that your teaching informs your own performance, your own understanding, your own viewpoint of the music that you teach and the students that what they bring to you?
Yes, absolutely, all the time. I mean, in fact, I've just a few minutes ago, I was teaching a student in Toronto. I haven't been able to go to Toronto for a year because of the COVID.
Right.
So I'm all online, which is very difficult. But I mean, he is incredibly talented, and he was playing the Chopin First Ballade, and we had a huge argument about Chopin pedaling box, and he said, "This is the way he pedals it," and I said, "But it doesn't work." He said, "But he wrote it that way," and I said, "His piano was different." And I mean, this is what you can have that sort of argument with a student, and eventually he said, "Okay, I'll try it your way." It's like when I was a student in Vienna, I had a great relationship with my teacher there, Dieter Weber, and every so often he would say to me, "It's marked a diminuendo. You did a crescendo." I said, "I like the crescendo." He said, "Prove to me it works." And I'd have to play,
Ooh.
and then I'd have to make sure it works. And most of the time, I would look at him afterwards and say, "Okay, I'll try the diminuendo." But every so often, I would look at him and challengingly, and he said, "Yeah, maybe that works." And it was great because it was like sort of, I know, I always found when I played tennis that if you played a really good tennis player, you played better. And I think that's the same. If you're working with a really good student, your teaching gets better, and you're challenged more, and you learn more yourself as well. You never stop learning about music.
No, no. And what you were just describing, the details in the score and what did the composer intend and all of that nuance, and it's incredibly important. I know how strongly I felt as a student about some aspects of the repertoire that I now know in my heart of hearts I disagree with myself entirely from then. But it
Yes,
built conviction to be
yes,
challenged by a teacher and vice versa. It forces you to engage your will. Like when you said that what your teacher said was prove it to me,
yes.
you know, it that That's something I was really compelled by in your playing because the first time I've ever heard you perform in person was at the Bankhead 2 years ago when you were presented by Del Val Fine Arts in a
Uh-huh.
wonderful recital in which you introduced me to the music of John Field, among
Yes.
other beautiful pieces. And I feel as though your conviction and your intent is so crystallized that just it's literally right here. Like, and I know many people could say that and have it sound like a cliche, but I don't need to see your body or your facial expression to know your intent. Does that make sense?
Yes.
To my
Absolutely.
ear, I was so calm. It was so calming, even in the most aggressive sound,
Uh-huh.
in the most complex moments, in the most the development sections or something of some of the pieces you played. The
Yes.
conviction and the directness of your expression was just unfiltered, straight through your hand to the instrument to my ear. And I don't, is that just your nature or is that how you were trained or does it just,
I'm
how does that happen?
I'm let's say I loved Liberace, but I'd never be a Liberace sort of pianist. I mean, I thought he was great, and I adored Victor Borge. I mean, I just still fall around the place laughing. He is so funny. But I think some people actually do the the theatricalities of playing the piano a little bit over the top, and it distracts from the music. For me, the music is the most important thing, and you have to actually cajole with your playing so that you get to the ears and to the heart of the people listening, and not just sort of admiring you. It's one of the reasons I stopped, wearing the tails. I mean, I don't wear tails and white tie and tails anymore when I'm playing.
Oh,
Yeah, because I got to a stage where I thought, it's like somebody dressing up like a penguin and walking out on stage. I'm not going to do that. I just want to go out and play the music. If I can introduce the music to people, fine, because I love talking about it. But I don't feel like that I have to actually throw my arms around, to show I am alive. I think that the music can speak for itself without me interfering.
hmm. That was something I discovered for myself is if I had nerves, particularly about conducting, and as a young conductor leading a very experienced orchestra, there's always that, okay, they know this repertoire from experience, through experience far, far more than I. What in the world have I got to say about it? It's not about me.
Yes,
It's
it's
about
about
the
the
composer and it's
yes.
about what's happening with this group, or in your case with this audience in this setting. And I love that the trappings of the tails are even unnecessary. Yeah. Well, and there's a sense in your playing that you get the architecture right from the very beginning. And for folks who may not feel as though they know the piece well enough to know what I mean by that, it's kind of like good storytelling when the pacing of an introduction prepares you for what's to come. You have a sense of comfort and a sense of trust of what's going to happen, and you
Yes.
have that. I It's undefinable. It comes from your talent and your experience, I'm sure, and your understanding and
Well,
of
it's
the repertoire.
I've been at it a long time,
Yeah,
and I love it. I
wisdom
analyze.
is awesome, isn't it?
Sorry, wisdom
Wisdom
is
is
wonderful.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah, and experience is wonderful, and just reading books and reading all sorts of things. You never stop learning. Never
right,
do.
right.
Yeah.
I will say that that is a quality in your playing that uh, many great pianists have, but for you, it feels special that I hear a sustaining note so much longer than I expect to, because I know it's a percussive instrument, the piano. You,
Yes.
you play the note and it will last as long as it lasts. There's nothing you can do physically to make it last longer. I assume it's all here, right? It's how you envision.
I think the major mistake most pianists make is they don't listen to the end of the note. I mean, with everybody else, like with a singer, with a violinist, with an oboe player, they have to listen to the end of the note to
The
make sure they're
release.
in tune. because if they can go out of tune if they're saying on a note. Whereas with a piano, you put it down and it stays in the same tune, so you don't have to listen to the end of it. But if you don't listen to the end of it, you don't listen to how it connects to the next note, and you lose your sense of line. And that's one of the most important things in developing a real cantabile.
Yeah, yeah. We are eager to have you here just as soon as it's possible. And we've returned to the hall, and our orchestra is back and ready for you to play Beethoven.
I'm
And you were
looking
just,
forward to
well, and oh my goodness, for me to look forward to the opportunity to collaborate with you, particularly on Beethoven's third piano concerto. Really anything, but what a poetic piece to bring to Livermore with in your hands. Uh,
Well, it's going to be fantastic. I mean, I just adore this repertoire, and I think, my two favorite concertos in the world are Beethoven 3 and Brahms 1. And
really,
yeah, I just love, there's something physical about playing them. I mean, I won the Beethoven competition in Vienna playing Beethoven 4, and I've recorded all 5 concertos with the London Symphony Orchestra. So, I mean, I know them all very well, but Beethoven 3 is something special.
yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Oh, John, thank you so much.
it's been a great.
You're making me want to go practice now. I'm going to go and listen to the ends of all my notes.
No, 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 no. Go and have a drink instead.
Oh, okay. Well, that works too. It's
Well,
almost
it's almost 6 o'clock in the evening here, so it's time for my drink. Maybe not. Maybe it's too early for you.
start pouring.
Okay,
Please give Mary my best. And I know we
will do.
barely met, but she's memorable, as are you. And
Okay.
I'm so grateful for your time. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Great to see you. Bye bye.
Great
God
to
bless.
see you too. Bye bye.
Stay
Be
well.
well.
Yeah. Bye bye.